Are you familiar with the term method acting? Well, it's basically where an actor decides to take on the actual life of the character in their real life to practice for the scene, for the movie, for the show, whatever they're in. So it's basically becoming that character through how you dress, how you look, what you eat, how you talk, how you walk, what you think, all to prepare for the scenes that you will be acting as this character in. So when it comes time to film the scene, you already feel as if you are that character, and it becomes very easy to just act out the lines as the character without even having to think about it because you already know how to be the character. Well, this is actually something you can use in your real life to become any character or version of yourself that you desire to be. If you think of yourself as consciousness, right? And you think about the human version of you as a human character that you get to influence through your preferences as consciousness and the desires given to you from source and spirit and whatever else, then you can kind of look at your human form as a Sims character or a character in a movie, and you're the writer, director, and you can choose different archetypes for this character to play out in the real world. Basically, this is how you reverse engineer your reality, by figuring out what endpoint or what character do you desire to be like. And by tweaking things in your internal and external reality, you get to feel more like that character until you become the character, or at least your human part of you becomes that character, because you are always consciousness. Hi, I'm Julia. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. This video is all about how we can change our self-concept to reflect that of the desired person we want to be and to live the desired life we want to live. And I'm going to be sharing with you a process that I use, which is very similar to the style of method acting, to help us get into character and become that person. Because anything you do repetitively for long enough becomes a part of your personality, becomes a part of your life, becomes a part of you. So if you take on all the characteristics of the person you want to be, and you repeat this process every single day of acting like that person, thinking like that person, and being like that person, you eventually become that person in a very short amount of time. It only takes 21 days to form a solid habit. So if you do this process for 21 days straight and continue to do it thereon after, you're going to be that person, guaranteed. So first things first, I want to get on the same page with you about consciousness and our human versions, because we, the being that gives life to this human that you get to exist in, is consciousness. It's source, it's God, it's the universe, it's spirit, it's energy, it's whatever term you want to use for it. It's the life force guiding this being. This being wouldn't exist without your consciousness. So therefore, this being is a part of you and your consciousness. And therefore, you have a sort of dance of going back and forth, communicating with the being and yourself, which is one. But because we live in a 3D world, there is a separation between the two. And because there is that little separation of consciousness being all there is, and you as your human being just you, you're human, you have to find a way to properly communicate with each other and work in alignment. So that being said, any desires you have for your human self come from somewhere. They come from your consciousness. You wouldn't have them if they weren't possible for you to achieve. So we need to get very clear about the fact that anything we desire for our human selves to experience, to be like, to look like, to have, we can manifest, because we wouldn't have these desires otherwise. And if you suddenly realize that a desire is no longer a desire for you, then that just means it's no longer relevant for your life and you're no longer a match for it, and that is okay too. But if there is a character that you desire to emulate or be like in some type of way, you have this little vision for yourself of how you want to exist in the world and how you want to live your life, it is 100% possible for you to become that and achieve that solely based on the fact that you can visualize it in your mind and you know that you want it. Because remember what I said, our desires come from consciousness, God, source, all there is, and all there is wouldn't give us these desires if they weren't possible. So that being said, you can be whoever you want to be. And that's why when it comes to our first step, you need to allow yourself to really reach outside of your box outside of your limiting beliefs, outside of your fears, into untapped realms to decide who it is that you want to be. And that's okay if you can only go so far, because the more you become the person you want to be, the more you expand and realize, oh, there's more that I can be as well. So you don't need to know it all right now, but I do think it helps you expand faster to drop as many limiting beliefs as you can when it comes to visualizing the person you want to be. So the first step really is to figure out who your character is and what is their story. Who are they in this world? What are their identities? What labels do they take on? What hats do they wear? Not literal hats, but you get the point. How are they treated by others in this world? What energy do they get to experience on a daily basis? What do they do with their days? What is their morning routine? What is their night routine? What do they do in the middle of the day? Do they work? Do they have their own business? Do they have hobbies? Do they have certain things that they're really good at? When coming up with this stuff, I think it's best to meditate on this and ask yourself, when you're in a very relaxed, calm state, what are the things about me that I love most about myself? What are the things that I love most in this world? That is going to be how you're going to get the answers to those questions about your character. Because yeah, you can start from a completely blank canvas, blank slate, and design a whole new person for yourself. That's totally fine. And you might even enjoy doing that. But I would say if you already have so many interests and things you like, go with those, explore those, make those a part of your new identity. For example, let's say you're working a job that you don't like, but you're working that job just so you can make enough money to exist in the world. In your meditation, when you are visualizing what you want for yourself, pretend that job doesn't exist. Pretend you have enough money to do whatever you want. What would you be doing with your time, regardless of money, regardless of survival, regardless of your limiting beliefs? And go from there, because we live in an abundant universe, and when you follow your passions and your highest joy, the money comes, the abundance comes. The universe makes a way for you to exist comfortably and happily. The universe provides for you when you are on your purpose, when you are following your passions and your highest joy. Step number 2, visualize being this person right before you go to sleep at night. Imagine your life as them, either through a guided meditation, like I was saying, or on your own, just in your own relaxed meditative state. You can listen to binaural beats in the background if that relaxes you, or just have some type of white noise playing, or no noise, just breathing and relaxing. This will help sink it into your subconscious mind that this is who you are now. And when you wake up in the morning, you're going to start waking up feeling more and more and more like that person every night that you continue to do this process until you are that person. This can also lead to experiencing being that person in your dreams, which is also great practice, because if you're being that person in your dreams, then you'll also know how to act as that person in your waking life. So if you're somebody who knows how to lucid dream, when you go to sleep at night, practice being that person in your lucid dreams. I'm still learning how to lucid dream, so it hasn't come to me as naturally, but it's really fun to do. And if you can do it, or if you want to try doing it, I definitely recommend doing it. Step number 3 is a more external step, but like I said, the external and internal are mirrors. And what you do on the external affects the internal. What you do on the internal affects the external. So you can use both to help you shift into being that person. And the external step in step 3 is appearing like that person, doing things with your external appearance to look like that person that you desire to be. So when it comes to your clothes, dress as the person you want to become. So for this, you may need to get rid of old clothes, styles, products, and replace them with new ones that match the new version of your character. And the reason why I say you're going to need to get rid of the old ones is so that you're not tempted to revert back to the old version of you's style and way of dressing and looking, because you will get that itch to just go back, because it's easy, it's what's predictable, but that's not going to help you shift to this new character if you have the old stuff there. And also it can become very confusing if you have both the old character style and the new character style existing in the same closet. When you become a new person, you really have to let go of everything from the old version of you that isn't relevant to the new version of you, so that you are clear and fully embodied in the new version. Because if you have the old stuff like scattered around, it's also reflecting inward to have all the old thoughts scattering around as well, because it will be reminders of it. To just help this process go along quicker, I say donate the old, make space for the new, and keep it as clean as possible, because the messier it is, the more you're going to dip in and out from old reality to new reality, and it's going to make it harder for you to progress faster. I'm not saying you won't, but it's just going to slow you down. I need water. And the reason why I'm putting a lot of emphasis on changing your appearance is because what you wear and how you look on a regular basis really dictates how you feel and show up in the world, even when no one is watching. Yes, we all know when you go out into the world looking your best and feeling confident, you're going to be more magnetic to others and other opportunities. But when you are just with yourself, it still matters, because every time you look at yourself, look at what you're wearing, look in the mirror, become aware of how the clothes are on your body, you're going to feel like that person who wears those types of clothes. And that is going to dictate the thoughts that you have, the emotions you feel, and what do we know about our thoughts and emotions? They manifest our life. So it matters even when no one is watching. And it's really important to be intentional about this because it helps you get into the correct energy of the character you dreamed of. And going back to the example of going out in something that you feel confident in versus going out in, I don't know, sweatpants or pajamas that you don't feel confident in, if you really look at it, that's you putting out the energy of confidence versus insecure energy. If you're gonna wear something that makes you feel insecure, you're going to attract more of what makes you feel insecure into your life. If you go out into the world dressing in what makes you feel confident, you're going to attract more of what makes you feel confident. So think about that when it comes to being intentional about how you appear physically. Obviously, that's just one example, and there's so many different emotions that different things that we wear or things that we do to our appearance makes us feel. But I think it's really important to pay attention to that, because that's going to dictate so much in your daily life that you don't even realize. Step number 4 is to practice inner dialogue. Practice certain phrases that reflect the energy of the person that you desire to be. Practice certain conversations that you want to have on a regular basis, all inside your noggin. This prepares you for when situations of other people come up and you need to answer in character. It also can help to manifest those situations by thought transmissions, aligning you with others of that same frequency. Okay, so I want to give you 2 examples of inner dialogue done intentionally versus unintentionally, because we all do inner dialogue in our heads from time to time, whether we realize it or not, and that is manifesting our future situations. So when it comes down to it, you want to be very intentional about it, and if you catch yourself in a moment of doing unintentional inner dialogue, you want to ask yourself, hey, do I want to manifest a situation similar to this or of this same energy, or do I not? And if the answer is no, you want to redirect your energy, whether that means meditating, whether that means going for a walk, or just distracting yourself for the time being until you get into a different energy where if you so happen to decide you want to do inner dialogue again, you can do it from the right state of mind, because whatever state of mind you're inner dialoguing is what you're going to get more of. So if you've ever had an argument or a fight with somebody, and then after the fact you're sitting with yourself, ruminating over it, playing out what they said, playing out what you said, thinking of what you should have said instead of what you've said, that is you doing inner dialogue, and it's most likely unintentional. It's just something that we do as humans, and that is going to manifest you more of that same energy. And if it's coming from a place of arguing and disagreeing, that's more negative, that's more disconnecting, and we don't want to manifest that. So the proper thing to do would be to stop yourself, change energies, and then when it comes time to inner dialogue again, do it from the right energy, obviously. But here's how intentional inner dialogue would go. It would be, okay, let me think of the energy that I want to have this conversation with this person, whether it's a specific person or whoever it may be. You think of the energy that you want to converse from, and you also think of the dynamic that you want to have with the other person involved. And then you start speaking in your head from that dynamic and that energy, and having them respond from that dynamic and that energy. And the more you practice that, the more you're going to experience conversations from that dynamic and that energy. So that's how you intentionally do inner dialogue, but we all do it, whether it's intentional or not. The next step is practicing in the mirror. So taking that inner dialogue that you do in your head and looking at yourself in the mirror and practicing speaking, actually speaking the words out loud of how you would respond while looking at your expressions and how your face reacts. When you practice your expressions and your body language, you can take notes of how you're appearing and how it's coming off, and then you can adjust to the proper energy of how you actually mean for it to come off. Because sometimes when we're talking or posing or whatever our expressions may be, we don't realize that our surprised face actually looks like a scared face. By actually looking at ourselves while we're having our inner dialogue and practicing our reactions and expressions, we can adjust it to amplify and express more of the energy we are trying to amplify and express. And that way, when it comes to you actually having a conversation in real life, in the energy of what you've been wanting to manifest, you already know when you do a certain thing with your eyes that it's going to give this certain expression and amplify this specific energy because you have practiced it and you know what it looks like. Also, by practicing speaking out loud, you can hear the tone of your voice, you can hear your cadence, you can hear how you enunciate words, and you can adjust those as well. I actually find this process very fun because I realize the more I practice, the better I get at it. And I also realize that when I speak in certain ways, when I look in certain ways, it makes me feel even more in that energy of what I'm trying to manifest and express and amplify, because I'm seeing it from the other person's perspective, and I'm like, oh, when I do X, Y, and Z, they experience X, Y, and Z, and then I start to feel how they would feel about me. Oftentimes that raises my self-esteem and my self-concept to be even higher, because I'm realizing, oh my god, like I'm so cute, I'm so sweet, I'm so this, I'm so that, because I'm taking myself out of it and I'm looking at it from their perspective, like, oh wait, I never saw myself that way, but they do. And if I see myself that way, then even more people will. So I think that's fun to do and can really help you see yourself in a new light. Because there's been so many times in my past where people have told me, oh my gosh, Julia, you're so this, you're so that. And I'm like, really? Because I don't feel like that. But from their perspective, they see me that way, even if I don't. So if I see myself from their perspective, then I get to see myself in a brighter light. And then it becomes my own perspective as time goes on. And our last and final step is to go out into the world and act as this person till you are that person. You may need to adjust certain things as you go, and you might find that certain experiences are more favorable than others, and it's completely okay to change your character as you go, because you are always going to be learning and expanding and sifting through contrast and deciding what is favorable and what is not favorable for yourself as you learn what feels best to you versus what's not best to you. And it's just going to keep changing and expanding forever and ever. So you can never get it right and you can never be done. I think that's what Abraham Hicks says, but that is just the nature of the universe. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video next week. I love you so much. Bye!